I almost flagged it as interference. That is the part I keep returning to, even now, sitting in this chair with the incident report open in front of me, and the response manifests still on my secondary screen. 8 ship names, 8 departure timestamps, the docking complete notation beside each one. I almost looked at the burst, noted the noise designation that every other station in the sector had already assigned it, and moved on to the next item in the queue. I did not move on. I want to be accurate about why. It was not instinct. I have been a comms monitoring officer at Earth's Deep Grid Listening Post Calder 7 for 11 years, and in 11 years I have learned that instinct is what you call pattern recognition after the fact, when you want to sound less mechanical than you are. What I had was not instinct. What I had was Protocol 7. Protocol 7 is formally titled the Anomalous Distress Presumed Classification Standard. It is 8 pages long and was last updated 22 years ago. Protocol 7 exists because, in the early period of Earth's deep grid expansion, someone senior and careful enough to put things in writing observed that a distress signal from a species you have never encountered will not look like a distress signal. It will look like noise. It will look like corrupted data. It will look like a probe malfunction or an equipment artifact or a ghost in the relay chain. Protocol 7 says, before you log it as noise, check 3 things: duration, repetition interval, power curve shape. Duration: the burst had been running for 19 hours. Repetition interval: it cycled every 4 minutes and 11 seconds, with a variance of less than half a second across 47 recorded cycles. Power curve shape: not flat, not random. It rose, held, dipped at the 2/3 mark and fell every single cycle in the same proportions with the same dip. Noise does not do that. Equipment artifacts do not sustain a 4-minute cycle for 19 hours with sub-half-second variance. I checked all 3 boxes, filled out the Protocol 7 preliminary form, and flagged the burst for escalation to Senior Monitor Davin Oric, who came over, looked at the 3 metrics, looked at me, and said, with the precise flatness of a man who has been doing this for 27 years, origin point. The origin point was a mining platform, Valanthi registry, deep core extraction, operating in the outer band of a system whose survey designation I will not reproduce here because it takes 14 characters and none of them are vowels. The platform had last filed a standard operational status report 61 hours before our burst detection window opened. It had not missed a status report in the prior 4 years of continuous operation. Oric said, "Get me the transit band logs for that sector." I pulled them. 6 monitoring stations, 3 Valanthi government installations, 1 Kethavar commercial relay, and 2 independent deep grid operators had all detected the same burst. All 6 had logged it as electromagnetic corruption and moved on. The Kethavar commercial relay had auto-generated a maintenance ticket recommending a firmware review of the receiving antenna array. Oric read through the 6 log entries. He put the last one down. He looked at his watch. "File it," he said. "Full Protocol 7 escalation. Flag it mass casualty presumed, source unconfirmed. Send it to dispatch." "Dispatch is going to want a probability estimate," I said. "Tell them I said the probability estimate is, something is very wrong on that platform and 6 stations called it static and we did not." He picked up his coffee. "Send it." I sent it. The response came back from dispatch in 40 minutes. I want to be precise about what was on the response manifest, because the council elder who later filed the formal inquiry specifically asked me to verify it. 8 ships, not 8 patrol corvettes. 8 in the sense of 2 deep structure engineering platforms with full pressure hull repair equipment, 1 medical carrier, 1 mobile atmospheric processing unit, 1 supply tender with 96 days of rations formatted for the 6 most common biological profiles in that sector, Valanthi included, 1 communications relay vessel, 1 armed escort frigate, 1 vessel designated structural survey and recovery, whose cargo hold contained a serious quantity of portable habitat modules. 8 ships, for a signal that 6 stations called noise. I was still at my station when contact was re-established. The communications relay vessel had parked itself at 5,000 kilometers from the platform and spent 40 minutes cycling through frequency ranges until it found something the platform's damaged transmitters could reach. What came back was still corrupted, still running through channels that were half-sheared and half-functioning, producing output that would still have sounded like interference if you did not know what you were listening for. Auric came in for his second shift. He stood behind me and listened to the relay feed. 19 survivors, I told him, out of a platform crew of 40. The pressure cascade took out the primary and secondary comm arrays first. The emergency transmitter was the only thing left, and it was running through a frequency stack that nobody in that sector monitors for Velanthe traffic. He nodded. The medical carrier's surgical team is already aboard. 4 critical cases. The engineering platforms are beginning hull assessment. The atmospheric processor is standing by pending structural clearance. Auric poured himself coffee. Who's the senior survivor? Council Elder, Sareth Vel Anvith. She was in the administrative section when the cascade hit that part of the platform held. How is she? Respiratory distress from atmospheric contamination. Stable. He sat down. We monitored in silence for a while. The relay feed was running continuously, this stream of half-corrupted data that had been going out for 19 hours, aimed at nothing in particular, reaching no one who recognized it until it reached us. When the communications relay vessel patched through a clean secondary channel, I heard the medical carrier's lead surgeon giving a status update. I heard the engineering platform's commander requesting structural schematics from whatever records the surviving crew had access to. I heard someone, I cannot verify from the recording who, ask if anyone aboard wanted coffee, and note that the supply tender had brought rather a lot of it. What I heard next I want to record accurately, because the council elder's subsequent account referenced it directly. She asked, her voice still rough from the atmospheric contamination, though she had been moved to the medical carrier, and the channel was clean. She asked the communications relay operator which species had responded to the platform's distress signal. The operator told her. There was a pause of approximately 9 seconds. Then she asked how. Not how did you get here, not how did you find us, but how, the short version, the functional version, the version that explained the mechanism. The operator referred her to me. I explained Protocol 7. I explained the 3 metrics. I explained that every other station in the sector had looked at the same burst and logged it as electromagnetic corruption, and that Earth's monitoring protocols include a classification for signals that do not match any recognized distress format but exhibit duration, regularity, and power curve characteristics consistent with intentional transmission from a compromised source. I explained that Protocol 7 exists specifically because a distress call from a platform in crisis may not look like a distress call. It may look like noise. Another pause, shorter this time. You have a protocol, she said, for signals that do not look like signals. We do, I said. She did not say anything else on that channel. What she did, over the following 2 days while the engineering platforms worked on the hull and the medical carrier treated the 4 critical cases, was file a formal inquiry. Not an emergency inquiry, not a protest, not a complaint. A formal request for documentation. She wanted the full text of Protocol 7, the complete response manifest for the 8 ships, and the frequency logs showing all 6 sector stations, noise designations, and our single anomalous distress presumed flag. She also, and this was the item that surprised Auric, asked whether Earth's Deep Grid Monitoring Suite would be willing to register the platform's emergency transmitter frequency range in our active anomaly monitoring index. Not as a formal treaty, not under any compact or accord, simply as a notation in the index. These frequencies, this source, flag for Protocol 7 review if a signal is detected. Oric's answer took about 4 seconds. Tell her yes. Tell her we'll add the full transmitter range and the 2 adjacent bands. I relayed that. The council elder's response, which I have included verbatim in my incident report addendum, was as follows. I will need to explain this to my government. I do not yet know what category to use. I told her that was not unusual. What I did not tell her was that Protocol 7 has been invoked 81 times at Calder 7 since I began my posting. 63 were noise. 11 were equipment artifacts. 4 were probe malfunctions. 2, including this one, were what Protocol 7 calls a confirmed distress event, source previously unregistered, pattern successfully classified. 81 invocations, 2 confirmed. 2 times something that did not look like a signal was not noise. I added the platform's transmitter range to the anomaly monitoring index the following morning. I recommended, in my incident report, that the Protocol 7 documentation be made available in formal exchange to any sector monitoring authority that requests it. I also noted, in the final line of the report, that all 4 critical cases had been stabilized, and that the engineering platforms had completed hull repair sufficient to restore full atmospheric integrity to the habitat ring. Oric read the report before I filed it. He got to the last line, looked up, and said nothing. He refilled his coffee. He sat back down. He went back to monitoring. I filed the report. The queue moved on to the next item.